Folks, today we're going to dive into the Basic Fantasy Project, otherwise known as the Basic Fantasy RPG. And why do I have the drive through page up for it? You can get this on their page. All right. I'm going to include a link to the Basic Fantasy Project. You can get the stuff at cost on Amazon in print, but I'm including the page from drive through because it's a graphic that allows me to show you just by flipping through how much is literally officially released for this at zero cost to the consumer, if that's the way you want to go. So, this is one of the longest lasting O.S.R. games. Started out as a free PDF, still a free PDF. This isn't pay what you want. This isn't no art, no frills version for free. If you want the art, you can pay for it. And no, Chris Gunnerman and crew are not making money off this. This is an act of love for the community. So, and it's also probably the most community-driven retro clone that we've seen. It's a very active community. They treat this as open source, by the way. But we'll get to that. And Basic Fantasy RPG and O.S.R kind of were parallel developments in a lot of ways. They both were conceived around the same time. O.S.R reached fruition first. O.S.R had a final version out, but Basic Fantasy RPG was putting out playtest copies for their community to test the rules. So, and if you've watched these videos already, you know that the OGL that opened all of this up. Okay, Castles and Crusades showed that you could take the modern rule set of 3rd edition and pretty much strip it and rejigger it and have something that looked like an old school game, Castles and Crusades. And then others came along and said, hey, I can actually make old school games from this SRD and from the OGL. So Chris Gunnerman launched this project, the Basic Fantasy Project, in 2006. Again, the PDFs are free. Print is at cost. And I'll be honest with you, as a side note, when I do our yearly gathering with my friends from my old gaming group, I often bring something from the Basic Fantasy Project, BFRPG, because I can print it out on Amazon on demand, have it in a day or two, and I have something to bring. Everybody can have a copy. You want to read some new adventures here? Want setting material here? And it's compatible with the rest of the O.S.R. You can use it without batting an eye. What else? Well, the forums at the Basic Fantasy RPG or Basic Fantasy Project are the hub for adventures, supplements, translations. I'm going to show you, or at least I won't show you because I'm not sure if I'll pull it. Well, maybe I will pull up the other screen. Multiple languages for the Basic Fantasy Project. So, what makes it unique? Well, I'm going to quote exactly from Chris Gunnerman here. This is from the webpage. The Basic Fantasy role-playing game is a rules-light game system modeled on the classic RPG rules of the early 1980s. It's not trying to replicate it. It's drawing inspiration from. Difference between a clone and a simulacrum, as I would define them. Basic Fantasy RPG has been written largely from scratch to replicate the look, the feel, and the mechanics of the early RPG game systems. It is suitable for those who are fans of old school game mechanics. Basic Fantasy RPG is simple enough for children of perhaps 2nd or 3rd grade to play, yet still has enough depth for adults as well. Basic Fantasy RPG is an open source gaming system. That's important to know. Supported by dedicated fans worldwide who have contributed hundreds of pages of rules, rule supplements, adventure modules, and other useful and enjoyable game material as seen on our download page. And again, it is usable with minimal, if any, needed conversion to other O.S.R rule sets. It's free and accessible. PDFs have always been free. Like I said, print is sold at cost. Nobody's profiting off it. It's not even going to give you away a free rule set and I'm going to charge you for the adventures. No, they're not doing that. It's beginner friendly. It's a smooth, easy entry point into the O.S.R or port. The rules are flexible. You can house rule them. You can home brew them. They won't break. It has a huge catalog of adventures and supplements. And again, like I said, it's spread internationally. Multiple translations because it's open sourced. And it's inspired later O.S.R projects. Proof, well, in some ways, that openness and accessibility grows communities. But there was an issue, I believe it was last year. I'm not going to name the individual. I'm not going to name the publishing company or the title that it was republishing under, but they were taking material from Basic Fantasy RPG, including the rules, and wholeheartedly just giving it a new layout, not changing anything, giving it a new title, and then charging for it. And they were making some money off it. Now remember, the original project is free. And while it might not have been illegal, it was certainly, in my opinion, immoral. Now, with 5e and the OGL fiasco, right, and people weren't trusting the OGL, WotC released the SRD for 5e. And by the way, as a side note, we were promised the 3rd edition SRD. We were promised D20 Modern. Don't hold your breath. But they moved the OGL, or moved from the OGL to Creative Commons BYSA 4.0, which is a very generous license. And actually, I should probably do a video on the differences between the OGL and the Creative Commons. They both have some good, they both have some bad. But that'll be for the future. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do that video. The more people that say they want it, the more likely I'll do it sooner than later. So they removed the old OGL statements in the new 4.0 edition. Instead, they used the Creative Commons license, and they removed some of the SRD wording. All rules have been rephrased to avoid any kind of open game license entanglement. Again, they're different licenses. So, I know this one, people that have been a little bent, but kobolds were changed to, I looked at my screen on this one, darklings. And dragon names shifted from colors to environments. So, white dragon is now an ice dragon. Okay, well, I guess that makes sense. The bestiary grew from 3rd edition to 4th edition. Spell and magic, essentially the same, rephrased for legal independence, because even though you can use the SRD, there's a desire not to directly quote it. They're not the only publishers doing this, by the way. Maybe I'll touch on that one later too. It's better layout. Cleaned up errata, but they didn't have that much errata in the first place. Again, this isn't Castles and Crusades. But yeah, this new artwork 4E just is a better layout, and again, it avoids the OGL. And if you want to do derivative works, you can do derivative works off of the 4E just as easily. Arguably, some people could consider it the oldest because the work started on it probably before anything of O.S.R became publicly available. It was being play tested, but we'll say it was the second O.S.R RPG and the first simulacrum in it. But it also embodies a lot of what the O.S.R claims to be about. Free access, community, long-term support. We're talking nearly 2 decades. So I don't know of any other game that has this much support for 2 decades, nearly, that's free, that nobody's profiting off of. What do you think? You tell me. So now we're going to look at real quick, and I'm going to show you. We've got the page here. And by the way, Iron Falcon is a reworking of essentially White Box, just so you know. And I have it in print. It's a beautiful book. This is the stuff as available. I believe that's it on Drive-Thru. I'm going to include links to the Basic Fantasy Project, to Drive-Thru, and to Amazon if you want things in print. I have much. I think I have most. There's a few holes in my collection of the Basic Fantasy RPG material in print. At the prices that they are in print for, they are literally impossible to pass up on. So, next time we'll dive into another retro clone that shaped the O.S.R, but maybe a little bit differently. And of course, as a side note, if you're you don't even have to be a subscriber. If you subscribe, that's great. I love it. But if you go to the posts, there's a posting area. You can do posts on YouTube. If you go to the posts, I am sharing O.S.R tables. Right now, it's minor miscellaneous magic. 12 minor miscellaneous magic items for your campaign, totally free. Members at it starts at $1.99 are going to get additional tables. They're going to get class-based magic tables. I've already shared one out with them, but I'm going to try to do 2 to 3, maybe 4 releases a month if I can do it for the viewer. I appreciate your subscription if you can do it. Just hitting that button. And of course, if you want to be a member, you'll get a little bit more stuff. All I need to know, do you want me to release the stuff under CC 0? Because it essentially is O.S.R neutral. Not working off any rule set. Should work with all of it. Other than that, folks, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Be good. Laters.